Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are safe during this pandemic time. With this wish, I, Dr. Sarvesh Mohania, on the behalf of Jagran Lake City University, welcome you all to the sixth episode of the JLU Knowledge Series. In JLU Knowledge Series, global leaders from various sectors shares experience of their journey, how they manage challenges and achieve goals in their life. This is something from which our students and faculties have learned a lot. It's my honor to introduce our guest today, a chartered accountant and certified financial planner, a business visionary, Shri Mr. Anil Chopra ji. Sir, I welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, Mr. Anil Chopra is Group Director Financial Wellbeing and Corporate Affairs at Bajaj Capital Limited. Mr. Chopra joined Bajaj Capital Limited in 1984 and has been instrumental in expanding the network of Bajaj Capital from the 6 touch point to 235 plus touch point and from 60 to 4,000 plus highly talented workforce during his tenure as Chief Executive Officer till 2017. His interest in financial planning is intense and profound. In fact, he is the first ever person from Indian financial services industry to enter the Office of Financial Planning Standard Board Limited in Denver, Colorado, USA in November 1999 with a dream to bring the concept and the profession of financial planning in India. Mr. Chopra has been widely quoted in financial and journal media on key financial developments in the industry. Sir has achieved so much in his life that this list of accolades never ends. Sir, I once again welcome you, and it's my honor to have an interaction with you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mohania. And I am also feeling very excited to be amongst very energetic students, of your lovely university. I wish, the things were more normal and I could travel to Bhopal and meet all of you face to face. That would have been much more wonderful. But still,
Yes, sir. Surely, sir. Surely,
yeah,
sir. We will have that session also in the coming future, sir. So, as I start this session, the first thing which comes into my mind that things with a strong foundation always last longer and stronger. You are an alumnus from Delhi University, chartered accountant, and then certified financial planner. Sir, please share us your journey of constant learning, sir.
right. So let me share with you that my background. My father was a officer with railways, Indian Railways, and because of his job, we were changing location. So my schooling and all happened in different cities of the country, right from Haridwar and Roorkee and Mughalsarai, and finally into Delhi. So I did not go in one particular school, for right from my first standard till 11th to 12th. So it was all scattered all over. And when it came to make a choice, for shifting to college, at that point of time in 70s, there were only two main choices, which is commerce and science. So we had to choose one of the two. And I come from a large family. We are six siblings, three brothers and three sisters. So my elder two brothers had taken science. So just to create a balance within the family, I was advised to go for commerce. So it was not my choice. It was the choice of my elders, my parents and my elder sister. They said, "तो भाई चले गए साइंस में अब आपको कॉमर्स लेना है." That is how, but I loved it because my most favorite subject was mathematics, right from my first standard ever since I started going to school, and I was particularly strong in mental math. So then it came very naturally to me. So when I started my journey in BCom honors in Ramjas College in Delhi University, I found the entire atmosphere, the entire curriculum, and all the various interesting subjects that were part of the BCom honors. I really loved them. I felt like going for a picnic, going to the college because every day you learn so many interesting things. And I was a library freak, so I would go from one library to another and read different books on the topics of the subject. So that's how I really enjoyed my university session of BCom honors, and I stood first in my college, in all the 3 years in Ramdas College in 1972 to 1975. And then after finishing my graduation, that point of time, there were two major choices. One was MCom, another was Chartered Accountancy. MBA was not so much popular, that point of time. Although already IIMs were all there, but they were considered, little elite. And but Chartered Accountancy was considered to be quite a coveted, quite an elated, where very few people were able to qualify, but anybody who became a chartered accountant was able to do well in the life. So I also decided to go for that, and I was very confident. So then I went for chartered accountancy, and I completed that in the minimum period requirement, and I became a chartered accountant by the age I was 22. So at that point of time, I was one of the youngest chartered accountants in the country. That was in 1979. But today that record is no more valid because these days even 20-year-olds are also becoming chartered accountants. So and then after that, my journey started in auditing and in management accounting matters, etc. And I was part of the CA curriculum for about 3 years, from 1979 to 1982. And at that time, I got uh, a chance to work in a American company, in a Gulf country called Doha, Qatar, which now, of course, everybody knows it. So I went there on a special mission of working in an American company, and that is how my career started. So yes, and certified financial planner, which also got added, that came much later in my life. That came in 1999. Almost 20 years after I had become a chartered accountant, because certified financial planner as a course or as a mark was not known in India. So as you mentioned in my introduction, so I actually am the first person ever from India to enter the office of FPSB in Denver, Colorado in 1999 to go and inquire about what this course is all. Now today this is a huge course, certified financial planner, and I would recommend the students of your university to Google it, to find more about it, and to embrace it, if they find the curriculum interesting.
Great, sir. I guess, sir, this really reflects that you strongly believe that learning is lifelong journey. One should never be hesitate to learn new skills and new things in his life, in his or her life, exactly. Sir, my second question is related to your journey in the Bajaj Capital. Uh, you have been in this company for more than 37 years. Uh, so please share. What really motivates you every day? New day. How you push yourself that I have to do this thing, I have to do another thing, and you stay in this particular company for more than 3 decades.
Yes,
What was the
right.
mantra behind this thing, sir?
So a lot of people have asked me this question. I'm not part of the family. I don't own even one share in the company. I am just like any other employee. But I love the company so much because I feel it's all created by our own efforts. And because the mission is so simple, so I'll tell you there are several reasons what had made me stick in this company for so long. So first of all, a little bit into the history, I told you that I went to Doha, Qatar to do my job with American company in dollars. I was getting salaries in dollars, which was a big thing, way back in 80s, 82, 83. And so after working there for 16 months and after earning good amount in dollars, I came back to my hometown in Delhi because my parents wanted me back, and in fact they wanted for me to go for marriage and all. So that was one reason why I left that company and came back here. And then of course I had to find a job here. So when I landed here in April 1984, I started looking for jobs here because it was a fresh beginning for me. So I applied few places, through classified and normally through Hindustan Times, etc., etc. And I appeared for interviews at three places, and I got the job offers from all the three places. I still remember it very vividly. And just to tell you that one place my salary being offered was 6,000 rupees. Another place it was 5,000 rupees per month. I'm talking, and third place was 3,000 rupees. And out of the three, I selected the one where it was 3,000 rupees, which is the Bajaj Capital, where I'm still working today. So why I'm making this point is that it is very important for students not to simply go by the packages. They should look at the overall growth prospects. If I just take 1 minute, where I was being offered 6,000 rupees, that company was a big company, but my position was somewhere in the middle, and that company was a multinational company, but they were into manufacturing cigarettes. So somehow it didn't click my. I can name the company. It was Godfrey Phillips, right? So Godfrey Phillips is a huge company, Modi Group company, and I found that in such a big company, I will be somewhere in the middle, and this company is into manufacturing of cigarettes, tobacco. How far, how long can they go? So it didn't excite me much. Then second job, which I was getting 5,000 rupees, that was a garment export company where the owners were living in UK, and they wanted me to run their operations in India as a fresh chartered accountant. So that also didn't excite me because I thought first the timings are different, so their timings are different, my timings are different to report to them, and then I have to deal with labor. And I thought I'm a chartered accountant. I want to do decent, work where I can contribute to some organization. So government export, they are doing the exports. I just have to manage. So somehow I didn't appreciate that also. But this Bajaj Capital, why I preferred this 3,000 rupees, half of the salary, it's a big difference because there were two reasons. One was that I connected very well with the chairman of the company, the one who had started that company, and he still today also is very active, Mr. KK Bajaj. I treat him as my godfather, as my real father, as my boss, as my god. And so I connected with him in that 30 minutes interview so well because he shared with me the vision of the company and what he wanted to do and what he was doing. Primarily, he was doing is to remove the financial illiteracy from the country, to making people aware about the various good investment schemes, how they can improve their overall being. And at that point of time, Bajaj Capital was raising money for big corporates like Hindustan Lever, Reliance Industries, NTPC, Steel Authority, Mukund Limited, Bajaj Auto, all the big. So I thought here, working in Bajaj Capital, I will get an exposure to the entire industry, right? Working in Delhi, I'll have to travel to Bombay, Calcutta, because the company had 6 offices then, only 6 offices, as you mentioned. Today we have 235 offices. And at that point of time, we were only 60 people. Today we have 4,000 people. So I thought this is the industry where I can flourish because this is financial services and it's a sunrise industry. It's an industry of my choice because I am a chartered accountant. I can contribute it here. Plus, the boss, the gentleman who started the company, he is such a nice, gentleman. And the way he's treating me, he told me his one important mantra of life, and which is to treat your client as your own retired father who does not have the capacity to earn again. So when I heard this and I just thought about it, that if we have to tell each of our employees that when you go and meet a client, think that he is not a client, he is like your own retired father, and give him that advice which you will give to all your own father. Of course, you'll never give wrong advice to your own father. So that touched my heart. I thought, yes, this is a company with good vision. It's growing, growth potential is unlimited, and we have to deal with the industry in a big way. So that's how I selected that. And then after that, how 37 years have passed, I do not even know. It has been such a thing that I blink my eyes, 10 saal ho gaye. I blink my eyes, another 10 saal ho gaye, because we kept on growing. It was like as if I'm running my own company. Every day I was excited to go to office. Sunday को दिल नहीं लगता था घर में. Sunday I used to feel कि क्या घर में बैठ के क्या कर रहे हैं. Let's go to office, do something. नया ऑफिस खोलना है, नया रिक्रूट करना है, नई सिटी में जाके ब्रांच खोलनी है. So in these 35 years, I traveled all across the country, small towns, including of course Bhopal, where we opened our office, I think about 22 years ago. Like that, we kept on adding 10, 15, 20 branches. Everywhere I would travel myself because travel was my passion anyway. And this company gave me, that position and that opportunity to travel almost every part of the country, right from Palakkad in Kerala to Guwahati, in Assam, to Nashik in Maharashtra, to Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. Because all these places we went and opened our offices, recruited local people there, met clients, and because we were growing, so one never gets bored, because every day there is something new to do. And even today, I feel like a youngster that yes, we can go and contribute a lot to society.
So I guess, sir, I get the real message which you have conveyed to the students that they should not prefer the package, they should prefer the organizations which really have good ideology and
Yes.
they really value their employees and their customers as a human value, and they would like to have long-term relationships with them. So thank you so much, sir. My next question is something related to the financial industry. Um, how do you envision the future of the financial services from the perspective of the future growth and intern job opportunities, sir?
I say it's huge opportunity because India is a large country and the penetration of financial services in India is still much below par. So even if somebody is starting his or her career today in financial services, the scope is humongous. For example, in our industry, we deal with, say, mutual funds. Now, mutual funds, only 4% or 5% Indians are already investing in mutual funds, whereas the average global expectation is to take it up to 60-65%. Just imagine that only 5 crore people are investing in mutual fund, whereas the scope is 50 crores. So in next 15-20 years, how much more business will explode? Similarly, insurance. When it comes to insurance, health insurance, only 7-8% people have health insurance policies, whereas 40-50% should have it. Life insurance penetration is very, very, very low. Mutual fund industry is too small. In globally, in all the advanced economies, whether it is Netherlands or it is Finland or it is Australia or it is US or UK or South Korea or Hong Kong, any country you take which is considered as a advanced economy, there mutual funds manage more money than banks. Right? This is one standard simple yardstick. If you want to know whether a country has advanced enough or not, so this is one of the several parameters, that how much money is there in banks and how much money is there in mutual funds. Of course, people are keeping a lot of money in banks, which means people are financially illiterate. They haven't come out of the bank. So in India, banks have 1.45 crores and mutual funds have only 31 lakh crores. So just imagine, this gap is to be bridged in next 30-40 years. Banks will also continue to grow. Banks will grow from 1.45 crore to 2 crore, maybe more. But mutual funds have to do catch up. So huge scope, unlimited scope is there. So whether it is insurance, mutual funds, any type of financial services. I'm not talking about loans and all, because I personally do not like that line much, but that line is also, has humongous scope in terms of growth. So, आँख मीच के आप आ सकते हो, and you can be completely assured of a very illustrious and rewarding career in financial services.
Okay. So my next question is extension of what I asked you earlier, sir. What are your views about the change in the nature of the jobs in the financial industry after this COVID-19 pandemic, sir?
Yes, that's a great question, because this was unexpected. Nobody was prepared for it. Right? You are otherwise prepared for a lot of other things which you see as trends coming, but nobody saw this as a coming trend. So obviously, all of us got the jolt of our life last year in March when this pandemic broke. But you would have noticed that very quickly, all of us came into action and started changing our strategies and changing the way we do our business to remain on top of the situation and to ensure that we do not lose out in our growth momentum. So now, particularly in financial services industries, what we found was that embracing the technology, and the sooner and faster you do it, it's the sure short way of ensuring that you will not lose out on your business. So of course, the face-to-face interactions went away. Clients are not giving us time. They don't want to meet us. They don't want to come to our office. We don't want to go to their home. So the only way to stay connected with them was by using technology, by having like this Zoom kind of a conference. So now all our team members, we have 4,000 team members, all of them are equipped with these kinds of simple things that where they can connect with clients. Then not only it's simply not just talking to them or doing a video call, that's not enough. More important is to do their transactions. Now to do their transactions, whether they want to invest in mutual funds or they want to pay their taxes or they want to buy health insurance, then we had to integrate all our systems with the systems of the insurance companies and create payment links and train our clients how to use it. So initially it was a bit of a challenge, and later on we found that once you know 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, it becomes very easy. So the training was given, and then they were able to go back to their clients and tell them that we are sending you a payment link to pay your health insurance premium. You have to click it there. This site will open, and then you just have to do 1, 2, 3 steps, and you will be able to pay. So that way, in the post-COVID era, the one very important, capability which all of us need to have is to learn, quickly with agility, this embracing the technology, so that despite having the shortcoming or the obstruction of not being able to meet face to face, you feel that as if nothing has happened, seamlessly, smoothly, business is going on as usual. And we were able to come up to almost 80% of our pre-COVID levels by ensuring that all team members were given handhelds, these tablets, etc., and with high-speed Wi-Fi, so that their connection is better and they are able to deliver it to their clients. So this was one very important, that work from home almost became a norm, and work from home also some people may tend to take it not so seriously. So of course things like desk time, where when a person is starting to work in the morning, is logging in and then giving them simple instructions that you have to wear your coat and tie as if you're going to office, so that you feel energetic. So sometimes when you're working from home and you feel lazy, if you just come and sit in front of the laptop. So these simple trainings were given, that don't think that just because you don't have to go to office, you can take it easy, and feel as if your office is your home, home is your office, and then you do business as usual, connect with clients through the various technologies and deliver the services that they want. So one-on-one, in fact, we found that the efficiency went up. For example, I'll just tell you that as a CEO, I was supposed to travel to different parts of the country to meet my clients and to do investor conferences, what we call physical conference. So I would travel to Dehradun, to Cochin, to Pune, different cities, and I can only do 2, 3 in a month, right? How much you can travel. So now, now I can do 2 or 3 meetings every day, sitting here every day now. Tomorrow I have one conference, and Saturday I have 2 conferences covering all over India. So now I am meeting more clients than I could ever do, in the physical world. So there have been some blessing in the disguise also.
Okay, great, sir. Um, Sir, nowadays what I can see that most of the financial services website or companies who are dealing in the financial products, they are more inclined toward the artificial intelligence, and they are trying to generate a lot of data with the help of the analytics and all those things. So, I mean, what will be the future, according to you, of the financial industry in artificial intelligence and the analytics around us?
Well, no company will grow without it. This has to come like the back of your phone. Artificial intelligence or data analytics or trend analysis, or trying to find out as to what will be the customer or client's behavior, going forward, that if he has done this action, then tomorrow, what next product will he buy, forecasting that with the help of artificial intelligence. If companies do not have these simple capabilities, they will become extinct. They will go out of the business. So that's why even in Bajaj Capital also, we have beefed up our digital marketing, aspect of our overall company. So earlier we used to have IT, like all companies, most companies will have IT, information technology. But now we have IT plus we have DM, which is digital marketing. So digital marketing is all the time, ensuring that social media presence is very high. We are using, all the handles, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Twitter, whether it is WhatsApp business account, and also creating social ninja, so that whatever campaigns we do, like one of the important missions of our company these days is retirement planning. So we are going in a big way after retirees, that because every year we feel that 5-6 lakh of government and PSU employees, they retire and they have big amounts, couple of crores which they want to invest. So in order to reach them, it was only possible through the artificial intelligence, tools that we use to find them, to do prospecting, and to find out as to which kind of channels, these people spend more time on, so that we can go and catch their attention. So if we were not using artificial intelligence, if we were not using digital marketing techniques, we wouldn't have been that successful. So it goes without saying that yes, this is not an option. This is a must-have. Every company in financial services industry must be well equipped with the latest, tools and technologies, including, the artificial intelligence and the analytics, etc. So we have simple CRM. It's getting implemented, so that we know that a client which is acquired through what source, and if he is buying first, health insurance, then what is it that next he will look at? He will look at mutual fund SIP. If he has taken 3 mutual fund SIP, then he will look at life insurance. So all this trend analysis is being done. So based upon past transaction history, and it gives us a lot of insights as to what is the next product which we should pitch to a client as per the artificial intelligence. So very, very important.
So, as rightly said, sir, it is not a choice; it is a must for everyone.
Yes.
AI and the analytics is the future.
That's right.
So, my next question is from the student perspective. Usually, institutions provide good theoretical knowledge, and just to have the practical exposure, they have this internships program, right? So, according to you, how can an internship from a good organization help the student to make better choice in their career?
Yes. So internship, of course, is the first stepping stone before you start your career. And during the internship, you can make a big impression, and that is how you get absorbed. So most of the forward-looking companies, they do take interns, and then from there they pick up, some of the good talent and they absorb them. But what we have seen, over the years, that while looking for companies where they can do interns, so one is that most youngsters are just trying to find out, just time to spend their, time over as a formality, so that they can create a report and submit it to their professor कि मैंने इस company में जाके एक महीना का internship कर लिया. They are not very serious, and sometimes they are just asking their father's friends or their mama ji कि किसी company में internship करा दो, मतलब as if कि कोई certificate लेके खत्म करना है काम. So I don't think such people are found worthwhile anywhere. So where people are coming through Sifarish and all that. But yes, there are real internships in terms of, some people are asking paisa kitna milega. So when you are going for internship, वो तो 5 year पे के लिए, if you are deciding whether this company is good or not, these questions actually irritate a lot of big companies employees, because that tells you that this person is not so keen to get opportunity to get inside the office of a company and to see how the environment is. That itself is so priceless and so valuable that people should be ready to pay for it rather than expect कि हमें पैसे कितने मिलेंगे. So these are some of the things which we feel. But otherwise, if the student who is going for internship, he or she is very, really keen and has done his research about the kind of company that he wants to go in for, उनकी website में जाके they have seen that what is their business, how they can contribute, what they can learn, if they can impress with their own knowledge and their little contribution and understand what is expected from them, and then really do some value addition, then such interns will be big assets for going forward. But I'm afraid we do not find all of them, of the same quality. 50-50 होते हैं generally.
Sir, when you being as a recruiter also, what are the various qualities which you look for when anybody applies for internship or even for a placement in your company, sir?
Right. So obviously, you see what we are. When I have personally interviewed, you can imagine that 60 to 4,000 people. I would have interviewed at least 10,000 people in my career. There was a time that I had divided as a CEO, because I was the CEO for 35 years till 2017, and as a CEO, I had a rule that my time will be divided into 3 buckets. If I'm working for 9 hours in a day or 10 or 12 hours in a day, it will divide into 3 buckets equally. 1/3 time I would like to spend with my clients, because that's why we exist, right? 1/3 time I would like to spend with my team, which would include recruiting, training, listening, talking to my existing team members, and also recruiting. And 1/3 time I would spend with myself, which is to do my own planning, to do my own data analytics, to look at my company's records, to do MIS crunching, etc. So this is how I used to divide my time. And when it comes to the 1/3 time to be spent with the team, so there, obviously in recruitment, so what we would look at is the seriousness and the passion of the candidate. So these two things are more important rather than कि कितने number आए, 90% थे, this, that, all that is not so important. But and then some people are asking too many questions about कि आपके leave rules क्या हैं, कितने घंटे क्या, working hours क्या हैं. Anybody who asks such questions, it tells us immediately that this person is mediocre. This person is not cut out to actually do big things in life. So just within first 30-40 seconds पता चल जाता है कि ये बंदा काम का है कि नहीं है. So but of course we are looking for passionate, serious persons, those who have done some research, those who have done some study, And if they don't even know a little bit about what our company is doing, then why have they come, for giving an interview in our company? So it looks very odd कि वो पूछे कि जी सर आपकी कंपनी करती क्या है, या what is it that I am supposed to do. So we look for, in just two words, seriousness and passion.
So, as rightly said by you, seriousness plus passion, I guess that really makes the good attitude for the student, and they can be recruited by the company. My next question is focusing on the core skills which are required for the students if they want to make career in the financial services industry, sir.
Right. Yes. So first of all, obviously, so there are 5 things which we generally say are required in order to be very successful in financial services industry, and particularly I can talk about Bajaj Capital because that's where I spent my entire career. Right. So there are 5 skills which we feel are very, very important, and of course, the number one is knowledge, which is in the domain knowledge. So of course, the student should have proper financial commerce background. So from a good school, good college, good MBA, etc., etc. So that is given. So the knowledge generally, of course, anybody who's applying will have the requisite knowledge, but we definitely, would like to give 20% weightage to the academic or to the educational background or to the knowledge quotient, right? That he or she should be from the right kind of educational background, because we are into financial services, so the person should be from that kind of background, right? So MBA finance, or chartered accountant, or BCom honors would be a better suited, but from a better university, better college, because there are all kinds of colleges and universities in the country. Then the next 20% weightage, we give to the communication skills, because in our opinion, because in our business, the candidates will have to go and speak and interact with multiple clients. So those clients may be housewives, those clients may be brigadiers in army, those clients may be businessmen. So we expect people to be very versatile in changing their language. वो हिंदी में भी बात कर सकें, वो हाई क्लास इंग्लिश में भी बात कर सकें, वो इंग्लिश में भी कर सकें, depending upon the person sitting in front of them. So they should not be, so fluent in English as if they don't know any other language. That's not what is required. Or so communication skills means versatility. If somebody knows more than 1 or 2 languages, always a plus point, right? So if somebody knows Telugu and English and Hindi, very good, right? But if somebody says, I only know Tamil, so of course, then that's so communication skills. English, of course, is very, very important, but not that we would take a test on, English speaking, etc., or vocabulary, just normal English speaking. But one should be able to convey what he wants to convey through proper communication skills. So that's very important, because if you have a lot of knowledge, but if you're not able to communicate, it's zero. Then the third thing on which we give importance is more than the first two. So these are in that order. So knowledge is the least, right? Although most important, but the least. Then second is communication skills, not the number one. Then the number 3 is listening skills. So because we feel that during the course of career, when the person will get into doing business, doing job, he will have to interact with again a lot of clients, and clients, they are having multiple issues in terms of their psychology. Somebody is retiring, somebody is sick, somebody has children to get married, etc. Somebody is having tax problems. So we have to listen to them properly. Unless we are very good at listening, we will not be able to give them high quality advice, right? So we make sure during the interview itself that whether the person is actually listening to you what you're asking, or because he already has few good things and he wants to talk about it, so he's not even listening to what the question you're asking. Some people want to impress it, so we know it very well that his listening skills are not good, and he is not taking a pause and looking at you intently as to what is the question and then answer that, right? And we also give trainings even after people have joined us, because listening skill, in my opinion, is much more intricate and difficult to attain and requires practice much more than the communication. But there should be some basic degree of listening skills must be present. So that is very, very important. Otherwise, that person will fail. So that becomes then the fourth skill that we look for is social skills, which means that the person should be smiling, he should be a good personality, he should be optimistic, should be positive, his eyes should be glittering with the hope and optimism, and the overall personality should be such that the client should be willing to open their doors to them and to make them a part of their family. Because in our business, we have to go and build relationships, right? And you can build relationships only when you have strong social skills. If you go to a client's house, and if you go to a client's house, one is that if the person is stiff, you'll go and sit on the chair, and you'll not even look here and there because you feel that you have come from a professional company, you should not look very frivolous. And the client comes and he does his whatever transactions. That is one way of doing it, but that's not the good way. Supposing there is a child running around, sir, your son, sir, which school he goes to? And son looks very smart. So these are social skills. So of course the clients love such persons, those who take interest beyond just money matters. So these simple things. Is a pet around just to ask, sir, just to start a conversation. So we look for very important smiling prosperity, social skills, and not just close, not very serious kind. So that is the fourth thing. And then on the top of everything, which is the killer, which is the number one skill, and that is the service orientation. Orientation to serve the society, to serve the community. That if that is not there, then that person cannot succeed. Which is that if some person is very good at selling, say insurance or selling mutual fund, but if he doesn't have the service attitude, then he will forget the client and move to the other one. He will not be successful. So we want our relationship managers, our staff, our employees, our team members to have that feeling of that they are doing something for the society. That attitude to serve the humanity, to serve the client. You remember the first thing which I told you? Our chairman says, treat your client as your own retired father who doesn't have the capacity to earn again. So to truly believe in that and to work, just like that. So that is something which is very, very important. So these are the 5 skills that we look for. A long answer, but because you asked me.
No, sir. I guess it summarized everything, sir. So apart from these core skills and the thing about the attitude, any other suggestions for the students of management, commerce, and economics who are planning to make their career in this financial services industry, sir?
Yes. So first of all, you should be very clear as to where you want to build your career. So like I said, I have had experience of interviewing many people. So there is always this tussle going on amongst the youngsters. कि इस काम में ऑफिस से बाहर जाना पड़ेगा क्या? हेलमेट पहन के मोटरसाइकिल लेके, So I mean such questions, or they want, some of us, they just want sitting in front of the computer job. So sitting in front of the computer job thinking कि बस वो बैठ के कुछ करते रहेंगे लैपटॉप पे, such people will not go very far in their life. So in our company we have, if we have 5 positions in front line which is going out and meeting clients, there is only 1 position which is sitting in office, right? So obviously those who are now thinking of going into the corporate world and starting their career, they should be very clear that what kind of job they want to do, and they must also realize that there are more jobs for where they need to be going out, they need to be more enterprising. It would require hard work as well as smart work than jobs which are only sitting in the office. So this is something very important, that if they do not have at all any inclination to go out and start a conversation with a client and they just want to talk to computer only, then they are looking for jobs like research in equity market, etc. Where they just are reading reports, etc. So such jobs are very limited. Such numbers are very limited. Large people workforce is required, in the relationship world, where they understand the financial nuances, products, solutions, and they go and talk about it to thousands of people, and then try and convince them and make their life financial worry free. So this is very important, and people should be open, because there is more fun here, there is more learning here, there is more money to be made here, there is more growth here, there is more prosperity, etc., etc. So, and here also within the financial services industry, it's a huge portion. So one is that one can go into banking, where banking, a lot of operational jobs are there. So that is a very different line, right? But because I have more experience of what Bajaj Capital has been, so we have been a company engaged in giving financial solutions to lakhs of clients. So people, those who want to come to work in our company, they should have inclination to learn about new solutions, like fixed income solutions, like mutual fund solutions, equity solutions, debt solutions, and also life insurance, health insurance, real estate. So there is a big universe to learn. So more, opportunities, you have to know more about different asset classes. Obviously, people should be more excited about it. So, and plus one has to go out and go to offices, make presentations, do corporate seminars, webinars. So one has to have public speaking, capabilities, etc. So based upon their own internal strengths and the capabilities that they have, they should pinpoint and decide as to what role is best suited to them.
So, sir, I have three questions from the students. In fact, there were a lot of questions, but we shortlisted these three questions.
Sure.
And one of the question is also very much, I'm very much interested to know. In 1999, what really motivates you to travel from India to Denver, Colorado, to visit the office of the Financial Planning and Standard Board Limited, and ask them to bring the concept of this financial planning in India, sir?
Yes, so that's an interesting story, and in fact, it has been well documented also. So, okay, so just to tell you that in 90s, internet had started. I'm sure you also must be remembering, some of you. So, and I joined the company in 1984, and in 1990, 1992, 1993, in those years when the internet was just starting, so I started doing research as to the kind of business that we are doing here in India. How is it is done globally? Because there's always, this quest to know, this is how we are doing it in India, but similar things must be being done in other parts of the country also, and how they do it. So what we were doing is we were calling ourselves as investment consultants. Okay, so that Bajaj Capital, what do you do? We are investment consultants. Okay, what do you do? We are financial advisors. Okay, what do you do? Somebody used to say, oh, you are a broker. We said, yeah, okay, we are brokers. We are financial products broker. We are financial product sellers. So we were struggling, how to project ourselves as to what do we do, So, and roughly we would say we are investment consultants, we are financial consultants, we are financial advisors. We help you, with your tax planning needs, with your wealth creation needs, etc., etc. But I was always very keen that there must be similar people like us, like what we are doing in India. In USMA, what are they saying? How do they call themselves, right? So then I came across this concept of financial planners. So, and at that point of time, it just struck me. I said, this looks like very good English word, financial planning करते हैं हम लोग. जब हम बोलते हैं कि हम आपकी investment consultancy करते हैं. So, and then I got going deep into this कि है क्या ये financial planning. Then, 2-3 years of study, then I realized that it is a profession completely, just like chartered accountancy in India, which is very well known that CAs, they can go and join an audit firm, or they can go and join a CFO in some big company, and they can manage accounts and finance, or etc., etc. So similarly, financial planning, where they had this mark called CFP, which is the Certified Financial Planner, so which has now come to India also. Now India, we already have a few thousand certified financial planners. So then I did more research, more studies, and I found that they are exactly doing the same thing what we are doing here. When we sit in front of a client, so sir, what are your needs? Sir, what is your current portfolio? Sir, what is your risk appetite? Sir, बच्चे कितने आपके? Sir, शादी कब करनी है उनकी? How much money you will need? We do same thing. They are also doing the same thing. They are saying, oh, we are doing financial planning. So I just thought, इस चीज तो वही है जो हम लोग करते हैं, but we need to properly convey it. So that is what, and then our chairman, Mr. K.K. Bajaj, he has two sons, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj and Mr. Sanjeev Bajaj. They are currently the chairman and the vice chairman of the company, right? So they had also started, they were also part of the company at that point of time. And then Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, who is the elder and is currently the chairman of the company, he asked me, he said, Anil, when you are going to US, I was going to spend some time with my nephew. He said, why don't you travel? You take a ticket, extra ticket from Boston, and you go to Denver and go and meet them and find out as to what they are doing. We'll get some more information. So I said, yes, sure. So in November 1999, I landed, in Denver, in Colorado, which was my first trip from San Francisco. And there, without any appointment, I just took a taxi from my hotel and I reached there. And I reached there, and so it's a small town. I mean, not a small town, but it's a kind of very sleepy town. And it was, one weekday. I think it was Wednesday or so morning. So I was not hoping whether I'll get any appointment or not. I just thought that I'll go inside and just collect some literature, ki kya karte hain log, etc. Then there, but somehow I met the receptionist and I gave my card and I told him that I work for a large. So she just asked. I said, yeah. At that point of time, I think some 2,000 or 1,500 people were working in our company. Today it's 4,000. So she was quite impressed and she said, this person has come all the way from India. So I must, give an appointment to him. So she must have gone inside and said, "Ki koi India se aaya hai, milne." And then I was given an opportunity, and I went inside, their meeting room, and there were 6, 7 people. They were all, senior director level people, and they started, talking to me. They were more keen than I was, of course. So they wanted to know कि कौन आया है India से क्या करने आया है इसको क्या चाहिए हमारे से. So when I started talking to them and I told them that I have been with Bajaj Capital for 15 years and India. So they asked me a very interesting question. They said, "Do you have stock exchanges in India?" They asked me. I said, "Well, we have not one but 20 stock exchanges, and Bombay Stock Exchange has been there for since 19th century." So they were not aware. They used to think India is some underdeveloped country. इनको क्या पता financial planning क्या होती है? So when I said, so do you have people who advise clients? I said, not one but thousands. So then later on, then they became very interested and they said, this certified financial planner as a mark, as a respect, as a degree, as a certification. It's only started, in 1970s, and so that was 1999. And by that time, they had only reached to some 8 or 9 countries like UK, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. So he was saying that we are making our plan, business plan, how to go to different countries, right? And India is not in our list. He says, but now we are going to different countries. Here is a country coming into our office to seek information. So he said, we love your passion, and that was the history. Then we went back there within 3 months. Again, we went back there along with Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, and then rest is history. We convinced them to come to India. They came to India. They studied. SEBI was already there, the Security Exchange Board of India. Then they found that how thriving and big market it is in terms of financial savviness. Bonds, debentures, mutual funds had just started, and rest is history. So we have a certified, and I was grandfathered, as a certified financial planner. So now it's a full-fledged profession in our country also, and I would urge and recommend to your students to do more. Within Bajaj Capital also, we have a college called International College of Financial Planning, where we extend education. So we are also into education, just like your organization, where we extend the courses, short-term courses and long-term courses on financial planners and how to become a.
So, sir, big thank you to you for bringing the concept of this certified financial planner to India. Sir, how can a student bridge the gap between the theoretical knowledge and the professional requirement during their course of graduation, or maybe a person who is pursuing his MBA for post-graduation courses also? So apart from the internship, if there is something else they can do along with the graduation and PG, according to you, sir?
Yes. So one is that this certified financial planning course, which has 6 modules. There are online exams are there, and so one can sit for one by one, or one can go for maybe 2 at a time, 3 at a time. Like that, there are 6 modules are there. There's like basic investment planning, retirement planning, succession planning. Like that, there are 6 different topics are there. So one can do it along with their BCom or MBA or whatever they are doing, so that by the time they complete their BCom, because this CFP course will give you a lot of insights into how the markets function, how you build relationships with clients, how you present a plan. The concept of financial planning is that you sit with the client, make a list of their financial goals, and then work backwards to tell them how much amount they need to invest in order to reach those goals. Create a document called financial plan, submit it to them, explain it to them, then start implementing it, and then start monitoring it, what we call the review. So it's a complete process in itself. So once they go through this curriculum, they would be very clear about their future prospects as to what they will be required to do when they actually finish their education and join either a big bank or a big insurance company or big financial advisory company like Bajaj Capital. So this is what I would recommend, and also uh, try and participate in the market. For example, you can start a small mutual fundship to do some research, on MP's website, on SEBI's website, and also do little bit of. I'm not saying do big speculation because you're not earning as much, but maybe take 5-10,000 from your father and do some trading, do some research, analyze different companies' balance sheets so that your thoughts become much more clear as to how all the markets function and how different companies which have prospects of growing, how to read their balance sheets, how to analyze them. So as a side hobby, one can continue to enhance one's knowledge.
Okay, sir. Sir, this brings me to the last question of the session, sir. So, what are the various challenges which anyone can encounter if they want to make their career in this challenging financial services industry, sir?
This will come again.
Okay. So, what are the various challenges
Challenges. Okay.
which anyone will encounter if they make their career in the financial services industry, sir?
Right. So obviously, if your mind is closed to, going out and meeting clients, and if you just want a sitting job, a cabin job, sitting in an air conditioned office, then obviously that's the first challenge that you have to overcome. Right. If you want to grow, if you want to prosper, if you want to, improve as a person, as a professional, then you have to be, that much hardworking and that much, outgoing. So that is the first challenge that you have to overcome, and then beyond that, it's important to keep one's knowledge up to date constantly, because it's not just learning, it's just learning and then unlearning and then relearning. So it's very important that you keep yourself updated, on various happenings which are happening around you in the financial world, for which there are sources are far too many. For example, you must read a couple of pink newspapers every day, rather than just spending time on politics or on sports, or on useless crime news. So spend some time, on Mint or on Economic Times or on Financial Express. And similarly, when it comes to your free time watching television, then instead of watching some entertainment or some other things, if you watch CNBC and G Business, and try and understand those experts which are coming, what they are saying, what are their views, about the outlook of the economy, etc. So one remains updated, because when one has to go and sit in front of the client, then clients can expect any information from you, and you should be on top of it. So the knowledge updation is very, very important, and that's the challenge which one must keep in mind, that if he has to remain successful, then he has to keep himself updated by reading the circulars, by reading whatever uh, literature is provided by insurance companies or by mutual fund companies in terms of their fact sheets or their other reports, etc. So that is another thing. And then obviously aligning yourself with the vision and mission statement of the company where you are working. So you must find out that what this company stands for. For example, our company stands for being the most referred financial advisors, in the country, which means that we will be referred only when our current clients are happy and they are satisfied, and we are listening to them, we are serving them, and in order to come up to their expectations, they have to excel, in all the fields. So not only ensure that they good returns, but to ensure that they are served whenever they are needed. So there are certain people, Sunday को phone नहीं उठाएंगे client का, ये Sunday हमारा छुट्टी का दिन है. So such people then are not able to, grow much in their life. So it may look like a challenge, but actually it's not. So you should fall in love with the work which you are doing. And so, like I said, that even today, clients call me and I love talking to them. So because not only it's my passion, but also it keeps me up to date, because clients expect कि इनको पता होगा. So in order to come up to the expectations, I have to read, I have to keep myself updated, I have to go through various sources of information, and that is what keeps your mind also active. That is what keeps your overall personality also brimming, so that the clients look up to you, your team also looks up to you, and don't take it, as a burden or as a, as a challenge, but take it as a passion. That removing the financial illiteracy, helping clients meet their financial goals should be your ikigai, should be your life's purpose. So if you go to that extent, then I don't think any challenge would be felt at all.
So, sir, as rightly said by you, if you take things as a passion, then there will be no challenge in your life.
That's right.
So, sir, I thank you so much for your thoughts and words of wisdom, especially those communication skills. Sorry, 5 skills, not the communication skills. The 5 skills. The mantra of the chairman, sir, that is treat your client as your
As
own
your only
father,
dad
dad
father.
or father. I'm sure, sir, our students will be benefited from the today's session. And sir, I positively hope that we will soon meet once the things normalize, and it will give us more opportunity to have an interaction with you, sir. Once
Sure, I
again,
would
thank
love
you so much, sir.
to.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. And I wish all the students, great career and very bright future. And I'm sure all of them will do very well in their life.